Oh, okay. Yeah. Now we go through verse 3 or stanzas 3. We read, right. So now what it says is, yeah, we finish 1 to verse 1 and 2. So today we read, in all actions I examine my mental continuum, and the minute a delusion arises, since it endangers myself and others, I forcefully confront and avert it. Right. So this, verse stanzas 3, stanzas 3. So it talks, stanzas 3 talks about the need to overcome, the need to overcome and avert the delusion, because this delusion is the obstacle for holding, obstacle for verse 2 and verse 1, because it creates an obstacle for holding others dear and supreme, and holding others dear at all times, right? So it says, in all actions. In all actions means, whether we are walking, whether we are eating, whether we are sleeping, right? Or whether we are, interacting, right? In all actions, in every actions, or even before we go to sleep, I mean, before we go to sleep, it says it, analyze, examine oneself, It talks about examining oneself, one's body, one's speech, and especially one's mind, especially mind. And then, how do we examine? How do we examine our, mind? Is, in what ways do we examine our mind? Is, we are examining our mind. We are examining our mind whether the delusion arise, right? Whether the, oh yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So we examine our mind whether the delusion arises, even when the delusion arises at one, minute, or just for a while, or just for a second, So it says, the verse says, very important. This line talks about the importance of, examine one's mind, right, at all the times, at all the times, and in all the actions. One need to examine one's mind. One need to analyze one's mind, right? Because, and then, what is the purpose, right? What is the purpose of what is the purpose of examining one's mind, right? What is the purpose, no, and the purpose is whether the delusion is arising or not. Yeah, right. Whether the delusion arising or whether delusion is arising in one's mind or not, right? But what is the point of, what is the very point of checking whether the delusion arises or not? What is the very point? Because because if we do not examine our mind, if we do not examine, because if you don't examine, whether the delusion has arises in one's mind or not, then what happens is, if you don't examine, then we don't identify, right? The delusion has arises. If we don't identify that the delusion has arises in one's mind, then what happens is, then because we are unable to identify the delusion, right? Then what happens is, even though the delusion has arises, right? So then, slowly, the delusion that has arises in your mind becomes, become increase, keep on increasing, right? Keep on increasing, and then at one point, that kind of delusion becomes really, how to say, cannot be easily dealt with, very strong, right? We cannot deal with that delusion easily, and it becomes such a strong, right? Such a strong that it really, bring oneself to the state of ruin, and also, bring others in the state of the ruin, right? And by this, so therefore it is really endangering oneself as well as others, because since very, very long time, if we talk about the, many past lives, then this, because of because we are not because we do not check, the arisal of the, the delusion. Because of this, the arisal of the delusion, and also not be able to check, has endangered us in our past life, in many, in the past. And also, if we are not able to examine it, it is harming, it is endangering, and it will endanger, if you don't check, it will endanger both oneself as well as others, right? Therefore understanding and realizing that this the delusion is really harming oneself as well as others. So therefore we purposefully, we very purposefully confront them, and we very purposefully confront it and avert it. So this is the very meaning, right? So all this about, it is not for, when we talk about when we talk about dealing with the delusion, when you talk about dealing with the delusion has to be averted very forcefully, because it says very forcefully, right? forcefully, and then forcefully, because once the delusion has arises, once the delusion arises, there is a real danger that we get habituated with it, very habituated with it, and then sometime we also don't much understand the difference between what is to be accepted and what is to be rejected. We mixed both, right? We mix both, right? So sometimes we believe what is to be rejected to be what is to be accepted. Because of this, again, it endangers myself and others, right? Now we go a little bit, we go a little bit further here, with it, right? Now, whatever kind of delusions, in a Buddhist, in the Buddhist teaching, or in Buddhist teaching, it talks about six root delusion, and also 20 secondary delusions. Yeah, they are in, yeah, right. So any delusion, now for example, right, mainly here, for example, like aversion, what is called as hatred, and the attachment, and then the sense of pride, and then and then ignorance, right? Ignorance, and then all the, for example, like discursive thoughts. There are many, right? So now, right? So now, in all the actions, I thoroughly check my mind, right? In all actions, I thoroughly check my mind, because this, now how do we check, right? In all my mind, whether my mind is a positive one, or whether my mind is under the influence of the positive thought or under the influence of negative thought, right? We check. But what kind of method we used, right? What kind of method that we use to check our mind, is now we use mindfulness. We use mindfulness and introspection, right? Mindfulness and introspection, right? So therefore, mindfulness, there's the meditation on mindfulness. If you really, mindfulness meditation is, although it's a Buddhist term, pure Buddhist term, right? But now, for example, there's a mindfulness app, it's the largest selling app in the world, right? Now, this mindfulness is now used in the economics, right? In the police department, in the schools, in the university, right? At the university, and also in the medical career, like now the leading companies, like they also pay now some interest in the mindfulness meditation. Right. So like this. So mindfulness meditation, mindfulness, and also introspection. These two are the very, very important, right? Important, right? So, for example, if I develop some positive thought, I need to be mindful, right? I need to be mindful. For this very, and also, for example, say if we, kind of, if we engage for, even, refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions, right? Refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. And also refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions also need to apply the mindful, we need to be mindful, because we make promise that, oh, for example, like, oh, I should not tell lie, right? For example, I should not tell lie. The moment the thought come, oh, I'm going to tell lie, then we apply mindful, right? Mindfulness, mindfulness, we need to be mindful of what kind of thought this thought arise, and then we can we can and then we can apply the instruction, right? Instruction. Oh, I should not tell lie, right? Because then, how to say, we call self-taught lesson, right? We call self-taught lesson. Oh, I should not do this, I will, because if I do this, I'm endangering myself as well as I'm endangering others, right? So with the help of the mindful and introspection, we then, we examine our mind thoroughly. So if we do like this, it becomes again habit, right? It becomes habit, right? So for example, right? For example, in all many Kadam masters, many Kadamba masters, what they do is, in the first, they put some, people's, some stone, white stone and black stones. So they, whatever they do in the daytime, when they, before go to bed, what they do is they put small amount of, black amount of, people, and white amount of, people, some number. So first and then, when the night time comes, right, when before they go to sleep, now they are trying, have I done, have I done kind of negative action? If they do negative action, they put the one people here, one people. If they do the positive action, they do the another people here. So they're comparing like this. So they're comparing the which is more in number, black people, the black people or the white people. In the beginning of when they try to do this, this kind of examination, right? They they found out that black people is more, right? So then, again, so then slowly by slowly, gradually, then all the people are white. So this shows that they are, investigating, at all the actions, in all the actions, whether sleeping, the walking, eating, and all these things. Right. So with this, then, they gradually improve, right? They progresses, and finally only the white people, no black people is left, right? So this is the, in olden times, some Kadamba masters, they do like this, right? So, and then one day the great master, Ben Gungye, Kadamba master, he was in the early part of life, he was a thief. He was a thief, right? So Ben Gungye was thief, and because of his habituated, this kind of habituated, what he do is, one day there was a party going on, some kind of, some kind of, I don't know whether to call party or not, but it looked like, party, some, enjoyment, some kind of entertainment is going on. So he went to attend that party, he went to attend that party. So because of his habituated, and then, he already got his share, there was some yogurt, yogurt was distributed. He already got his share. Everybody got his own, share, one share, not two share. And then he again got greedy, because of his, habituated, greedy. And then he already got, and he hide it somewhere, and then try to, take another one, right? And then what happened is, his right hand, right, got hold of his left hand, right? And then he shouted in the public, now everybody come, this ugly hand is doing something nasty thing. Then now because of this he felt embarrassed, right? So through this way he improved. Again, there's another Kadamba master. So one day, he was really, there's one room, he has a one, because he has some benefactor. He has some benefactor, a patron, who helped that, a master, who really helping that master. So he, on that specific day, the patron or the benefactor was, paying a visit to him, trying to pay a visit to him. So, in his mind, the master, got a very, some kind of, strange thought, So he was, so normally he don't, make the preparations, right? He don't make the preparation. At that point, on that day, because the patron was expecting a visit, he was visiting the, expecting a visit from the patron. So he, he make all the arrangement, he make all the beautiful arrangement. He make the, he also altar, the altar also look very nice, very good, everything, everything he did his best, What? Then after he done all these things, he sat on his cushion, and then he took few minutes to check his mind, why he is doing all these things. Then he learned his act of all this doing is to impress the benefactor, to impress the benefactor, right? To make, to fascinate, how, how, he himself is, doing a good practice, all this like this, doing, doing the nice things, all these things. So as soon as he realized this, his thought, this particular thought, he grabbed a handful of dust and throw in front of the image of the image of the three jewels. Later, that story was heard by the great another master, Padamba Sangye. Padamba Sangye, the founder of the Joy tradition. So Padamba Sangye say, of all the offering in Tibet, this master offering seems to be the best one, the most precious offering, right? Because he admitted the fault, he admitted the wrongdoing on his part. Because of that, the dust was offered. The handful of dust was offered. Right. So like this, so the similar like this, sometimes also, sometimes, the from, our part, may look, this like this, but then after checking, right. So these are just example, right? These are just example, right? So there are different kinds of delusions now, but right. But now here, with this now, for example, right, when the in most of the actions, if we were to develop kind of the delusion that we would arise is either the aversion or the attachment, right? But because mostly the attachment, right? Right. Just for example, take the example, like if you go to the market, very big market, or what we call a supermarket, supermarket, with a lot of good things, nice things. Oh, in our mind, oh, this is so wonderful. Oh, this is what I need. Again, we say another thing. Oh, this is what I need. We develop attachment to many of the things. But then if we really question ourselves, do we need all these things? No, right. Right. Now, right. Now here, right. Now, for example, when the attachment arises, it says, the delusion endangers. In what ways it endangers? Right. The delusion endangers. How the delusion endangers? How the delusion create the problem? How the delusion create the threat? How the delusion, create the problem, create the suffering. Right. Now let us take an example, right? Just for example, like attachment, right? It's kind of attachment, right? Because the text itself says, the moment it arises, you need to avoid it. For example, if we now just take an example, if we go in a very nice supermarket, very big supermarket, I saw a very nice watch, nice beautiful watch, very good watch, very good watch, right? So now what happened is, now we really develop very strong attachment to the watch, very right. And then we first take a look, right? This watch, oh, this watch is very nice, very good, very nice. And then this watch is the brand very very popular brand, right? And then also the watch in the inside, there's a diamond, like the gold, all these things. Down, the gold, very, the very good design, very, the diamond itself inside is very expensive, right? Like this. And then the leather, the leather of the watch also very nice, So we all this, now this attachment is keep on increase. Now how it is increase? Now I'm just taking the watch example. We can apply anything. We can use that logic to everything. Right? Oh, the watch is so there are a whole lot of we call what we call as your mind, our mind is exaggerating. Our mind is exaggerating. In what ways our mind is exaggerating the watch? Right? Our mind is exaggerating the desirable qualities of the watch. Oh, this is the thing, main thing, right? Right. For example, I also I have some people told me. Some people told me what they told me is they have a problem. They have a problem with getting sleep. Some people, they say they could not sleep, and then there are some people who don't get enough. They say they have a problem with getting a sound sleep. Why? Because their mind is so active, The sleep is maybe maybe some people have pain, physical pain due to that, but many but in many cases it is the psychological problem, right? So the real cause is one's mind is keep on exaggerating the things, right? So this makes the people awake all the time, awake, right? Right. So in a way, always, oh, this is very good, this is very nice. The mind keep on the mind keep on exaggerating the qualities. This watch, is it nice? Yes. Is it attractive? Yes. Is it so so appealing? Yes. But it is attractive, it is nice, not in the same way as you exaggerate. We exaggerate, right? Right. Now, for example, taking the simple example, we check, for example, we have something, right? We saw something, and then before we go to bed, if you try to, see the desirable qualities of that thing, we don't get sleep. We will not able to sleep. We will not able to sleep. Normally, when we eat enough food before we go to bed, usually, as I experience, based on experience, if we get a very very heavy food before we go to bed, we fall asleep. But then, even though we eat a very heavy food, but if we continue to think about the desirable qualities, we will not sleep. We will not be able to sleep, even if we, take a heavy food. Normally, yeah, heavy food, reduce to this, give the sleep, let you sleep. Right. So then what happened is, now, for example, like the watch, oh, very nice, very good thing. The functioning of the mind, the function of the mind is sometimes very honest, sometimes very strange, because in the first place, when for example, the attachment to the watch arises, it is one person's instinct. It is one person powerful. It is one person powerful, right? But then, as we think about the desirable qualities continuously, constantly, then it builds up the power. It builds up the strength. It builds up the strength, And then at one point, this one's attachment towards the watch becomes spontaneous. Then you don't need any effort. It becomes effortless. Right? Effortless. Now, once it becomes effortless, right? Such a very powerful. Once, for example, the desire or attachment towards that watch, becomes so powerful. Right. Now, when it becomes so powerful, then what when it becomes so powerful, then what would happen? That's the question. What would happen? Now here, therefore, once it becomes so powerful, we do not want to separate from that watch. Right. And then if there are others who try to create the cause, they become my enemy. Right. Right. And then a lot of other emotions also involved. Now, because of my strong craving to the watch, I also developed the thinking that this watch is permanent. This watch will never never develop any defect. This watch is the most beautiful thing. Right. And then in worst case, we all know this watch is impermanent in the nature of suffering. Impermanent. Right. Because of that reality, because of that nature. Right. Now, if we have at a time when we have to how to say, when we have to separate from that watch, this separation gives us most painful experience. Now, right now. So right now I'm taking this as a symbol, as a watch example. We can apply to anything, right? Anything. Like this. So similarly like this. And also like now, in the case of that one's enemy. Right, one's enemy. the moment, for example, the moment we hear the the enemy's name, it becomes it gives you unbearable, we do not bear to hear the name of the enemy, right? Right now I'm giving only example. I do not mean anybody. Don't get me wrong. Right. But it's important to understand the psychology, right? Psychology is very, very important. Right. Now, for the enemy, how do we, our kind of, aversion, kind of, angry or, hatred towards one enemy becomes strong. Now, the main reason that we develop very strong attachment, or the anger, hatred towards the enemy side, or we say disliking feeling, the feeling of, dislike. Why do we develop a, the sense of disliking feeling towards the someone, right? Someone who give you the problem. Similar like the the attachment here, the enemy, the one of the main cause for our getting more a sense of aversion, the feeling of hatred towards the enemy, is because when we try to think how the enemy physically, verbally, and mentally harm me, right? The more we think about this, right? The more we think about this, your one's heart becomes restlessness. Right. So again, this again gives us finally painful experience. Right. So this is all, this is the process of, becoming one's delusion so, so powerful, because it is at that, for example, just another take an example. Just take another example, right? Very nice example. For example, liquor, liquor. Take the example of the wine, or the liquor, right? If we enjoy the one drop of liquor, there's no problem. There's no. For example, right? Buddha has not permitted the liquor. Buddha has not permitted the liquor. Why he has not permitted? He has not permitted the liquor, not from the perspective of if you take a one drop, there's no problem. There's no problem. Right. But then because of taking a one drop, you are compelled to drink whole abundant, in large quantity. Large quantity. This large quantity now bring the destruction. Right. So it is Buddha Buddha restricted, or how to say restricted, or Buddha has not allowed, drinking. not mainly from the resultant side, because the resultant brings distraction. So therefore, Buddha stopped this. Not from the one drop is right. For example, if you take a one drop of the water and one drop of the so they're same, not much different. But then Buddha has not restricted water, because neither from the cause nor from the result has nothing to do with distraction. But here taking in the liquor, although from the causal side nothing, but then from the resultant side it's immense distraction, right? Immense distraction. Similarly, all the delusion in the beginning, seems okay, no problem. But then when it comes to the resultant side, then it brings distraction, complete distraction. Right. So now again, so that's why this is the delusions. The delusions are also the like once once the main enemy. Because what it does is the only the only function that it does is it destroys. It destroys what? It destroys one's peace of mind. It destroys one's peace of mind. Peace of mind is what we all aspire to achieve. But then yet on the other hand, it destroys. Right. So therefore, in many of the things, externally, it look, okay. But externally it look okay. But then as we get more acquainted, as we get more habituated, it becomes more worse and worse, right? Like this delusion, So therefore, in the Buddha's teaching, at the in our everyday life, in most of the common people, Buddha has not permitted any delusion under any circumstances, under any situation. Buddha is not allowed. Right. Why Buddha has not permitted? Why Buddha has not permitted is because our mind at the basic level is ordinary, right? Ordinary. Our mind at the fundamental, at the basic level is very ordinary, right? So ordinary, because of that, Buddha, Buddha has not allowed this delusion in any cases. Right? Because once delusion arises, in the beginning, it look okay. When we also in the beginning it look okay, but then the nature of the delusion is very strange. The only matter that it gets increased by is habituated. It gets habituated. It is kind of for example, aversion and hatred need to think. Whereas when it comes to the attachment, it's addictive. it's addictive nature. We get habituated, although we do not want, the aversion or hatred. But then aversion and hatred comes from where? Comes from attachment. Right. So because this delusion finally bring a disaster for oneself as well as to the other. Therefore, Buddha has not permitted. Then gradually, as you practice, as your compassionate, loving kindness, the increase, your practice enhanced, your practice become more advanced. Then Buddha, in some cases, Buddha, permitted kind of attachment. Buddha permitted in some cases attachment, Buddha right. For example, like Buddha permitted attachment. Why Buddha permitted attachment is again now your loving compassion, our loving compassion becomes so strong. There's some which can subdue. We can subdue attachment. Right. So again, Buddha, permitted, attachment at the advanced level, attachment purely for the out of love, out of the, and the strength of the practitioners, compassion towards the other, right? So in these things, Buddha, but again, at the fundamental, at the basic level, Buddha's in basic teachings, these, anger, these delusions are not permitted because it brings that immense destruction, right? In this world, there are a lot of, distractions, immense distraction. Now, for example, right, take an example of like a few years ago, there is a the Twin Tower, right? Twin Tower. The Twin Tower, Twin Tower is destroyed, right? Few years ago. This tower is, then what happened is people's intelligence is involved. People's intelligence is involved in the destruction of the Twin Tower, right? But where there is intelligence, right? Because there's, but then that intelligence is motivated by immense hatred. So that is the result. Immense, the hell, very kind, how to say, the brain, very smart brain, but that smart brain motivated out of hatred is tremendous destruction. Whereas on the other hand, there is super intelligence, super intelligent, motivated out of loving compassion, brings a tremendous positive, service, humanitarian service. So finally, whether people, we all have intelligence, whether we, intelligence goes in positive way or negative way, depends heavily on motivation, right? Motivation. So motivation becomes most important, very important, very, very important. So Buddha talks a lot about, our mind, the world of mind. Talks a whole lot about the world of mind. Now, having said that, now the question is, if we were to avoid it, if we were to forcefully suppress the delusion, whatever delusion we arises, if we were to avoid it, if we were to stop it, right, then how can we go about doing that? Right? How can we go about doing that? Now, usually there are two ways of in the great master Aryadeva, he says, the great Indian Buddhist master Aryadeva, who was the student of Arya Nagarjuna. He say, just there are two kinds of, for example, I can take particular delusion like attachment, right? He say there are two kinds of attachment, right? One kind of attachment arises because of the habituation, and then there is another kind of attachment. This attachment arises when it encounters the object, right? For example, I go to market, right? For example, I see very nice electronic device. For example, like take the phone, iPhone, right? When I see the very nice iPhone, right, in the market, when I see the how to say, the attractiveness of the iPhone, I develop attachment, right? So that attachment arises because of seeing the attractiveness, right? Then on the other hand, there is one which is more kind of habituated since for many lifetimes. Now here, the one which is one which arises because of the prolonged habituated, this one, in order to destroy that attachment, we need the wisdom. Whereas the attachment which arises spontaneously when come to meet with a pleasant object, right? For that, in order to reduce that attachment, suppress that attachment temporarily, reduce that attachment, we need to get rid of the pleasant object. Right. But that does not mean, for example, when we come to face with one enemy, you destroy it. don't understand that way. Right. If we try to do this, then it endangers ourselves as well as other side. Right. Now, for example, right. Now, how to, right, for example, phone or, kind of, the watch, you can take. It says, we need to destroy the object itself, Now, how do we go about destroying the object, right? Right. Or, a very nice watch, very good, very attractive watch. I saw this watch, and then, right. And then I still have, very strong, developed, attachment. Oh, very good, you really want to, have it at all cost, right? Now, in order to get rid of that, this, what happened is, if we really, the wish, develop a strong wish to, have it, right? Now, what it does, it disturbs one's mind. It disturbs one's mind. Right? You are not happy when you don't get it. Now, the only thing to calm one's mind, right, is what? As I said, we see the very nice watch, beautiful watch, and then I come back in the, I come back in my home, For example, I meditate on this, right? I meditate single-pointed meditation. We call, shamantha, right? Or kamaya meditation, like this. This will help? No, definitely not help. If you try to do this, I think some people do like this. When they see nice things, they come back and they try to meditate. Instead of calming your mind, instead of pacifying your disturbed mind, it will make more disturbed. Right? Because why it disturbs is when you see the wristwatch, right? Wristwatch. Because all the time, the desirable qualities come into your mind. You already have exaggerated the desirable qualities. Then when you do the meditation, desirable qualities, stuck your mind again and again. This makes your mind restless, unpacified, disturbed, so disturbed. Right? So therefore, now in order to, calm this, calm this mind, the best thing is what we call as analytical meditation. Because when we talk about analytical meditation, it is based on the conviction. Based on the conviction, right? Once we develop a very strong conviction on what we call as unshakable faith, then external factors cannot affect. The external can. External effects cannot, make any, difference, For otherwise, what happened is we heard a lot, we really gain a whole lot of information, we get a whole lot of information, all this, the plenty of information, abundant information. But then when it comes to, dealing with emotions, it's still affecting you, still, harming you. So that means we have not developed a, conviction-based experience, conviction-based. Once the conviction-based experience is developed, no external factor can affect you. You remain very strong, like, stable like Mount Meru. Right. So therefore, now in order to further, calm one's mind, pacified one's mind, right? Pacified one's mind. Pacified what? Because when you see for example, a very attractive watch, your mind becomes undisturbed. Your mind becomes so disturbed. So you need to make it undisturbed. We need to make it, calm, right? Now, how do we make it calm? Is now we call this is what we call as meditation. Meditation, not a single pointed, but the analytical meditation. Analytical meditation. First of all, why I'm attached to the watch? Why I'm attached to the watch, right? Who is the one who is attached to the watch? What is the nature of the watch? Why it is such that why it is such that I'm in such a state that it is so painful to bear from this to bear. It is so painful to bear the separation from this watch. Right. So we try to analyze, right? If you look at the great master, Shantideva's guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. All he used, realistic logic, For example, just if we take, the only thing is, the only thing is that if we really, make an effort, right? If we really try to make an effort, then, there is no doubt that we can have transformation, right? For example, if I say so, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he say, much of his life, transformed through reading this guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, right? He gained a huge lot of inspiration and information, because it really all talk about very realistic approach, very realistic approach. When it comes to dealing with, the conduct, everyday conduct, guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, very, remain one of the most comprehensive, text, approachable, realistic text. Right. And then we can also think about, the watch as so attractive. Right. If the watch is so attractive, 100% attractive, right? Why other people don't see that way? Only you see, only we see, right? Why other people is not seeing, right? So if it is 100% attractive, of course, other people should see this, right? If this cup is white, other people also see this cup as white, but this cup is maroon, right? The color of this cup is. So if it is there, all the people say this is something solid, Right. Similarly, if the watch is so attractive, the 100% attractive, everybody see attractive, but not that way. Some people don't want to buy, some people, it's very clear, if you buy something, from the Amazon, that thing, there are 500 review. Nobody give 5-star positive review. One person give, negative review. This shows no thing has 100% attractive. Right? Anything, and any kind of product that we find, for example, like just take the Amazon, any product people give review. There is not a single product which has all the people give 5 stars. Right. So no object no matter how beautiful, how nice object is, people sometimes they say, oh, this from on this part, very nice, very good, but from that part, not good, right? Still need improvement. Object, when it needs improvement, it shows the object is not perfect. If it needs further improvement, no object can be the most perfect. No object can be the most perfect because it needs improvement. Improvement shows that it is not perfect, right? Perfect object. So anything, anything, it's finally, attractiveness is what we projected. We projected. So therefore, now watch. Very better to watch. It is impermanent. Right. It is impermanent and it is in the nature of suffering. Because it is impermanent because it breaks. Right. Watch. If you, no matter how, sooner or later it will break. Right. Sooner or later it break. And then what happens is, how much we develop attachment, depending on the strength of your attachment, your suffering is the same. The same is, the suffering that of having lost, or having separated from the, the watch. So, because when we separate from the, from that watch, we feel unbearable pain, having to separate from the watch. This shows the watch itself is in the nature of suffering. The watch is in the nature of suffering. Because why? Because it has the tendency to give pain. But we understand this in right context. I'm not saying we don't give watch. I'm not saying. Right. What we are saying is, of course, we need to, these things. So everything, very useful. Very useful, right? We are not saying abandon this, These are very necessary, right? But then, what we are saying is, it has the 10% desirable qualities. There's no question. 10% desirable qualities, very good, nice, be useful, right? But then, sometimes we are too involved, engross our mind, we engross our mind in that cup, try to exaggerate the desirable qualities to 100%. So once it reached 100%, this is what we feel pain and suffering. So this is what we are trying to say. There's some boundary, right? So like this. So in order to stop the, the seeing the desirable qualities, more than what it is. So therefore, the moment it arises within oneself, we need to think about the antidote part, antidotal factor, right? Right. For example, if we have some kind of, difficulty in understanding impermanent, right, now just right. right? When I burn this cup, right, it will catch fire, right? It will burn itself. Right now, it's beautiful. This cup is very nice, beautiful. But when I burn it, it becomes ugly. Why the beautiful cup become ugly? There are two things, externally this cup very nice, very nice externally, but beneath this cup there's a hidden ugliness in this cup. Hidden ugliness in this cup. What that is hidden cup, right? Hidden, ugliness is because when something goes wrong with this cup, when something goes wrong and problem with this cup is no more beautiful, no more nice, no more good. So, right. So, for example, again, this is what we call as the nature of the samsara, right? Because once we are born, finally our breath stop, our body get cremated. Right. So this is the reality. Right. So, and also everything, everything which comes together because of causes and conditions, finally break. Very high rising building, when something goes wrong, it falls down. This is the ugliness of the high rising building. Once coming together, we can all come together enjoying all these things. Right? No matter, it maybe the maximum is 100 years, right? Everybody come together. But once come together, the nature is to depart. The very nature is to depart, right? So the nature to depart is the ugliness nature of coming into gathering. Right. So therefore, everything, therefore, right from, I say this, few times, everything is not white, everything is not black. Every situation is not black, every situation is not white. In everything, there are two kinds of reality. In everything, there are two kinds of reality. In everything, there are two kinds of reality. For example, just this cup, if we do not think about the more kind of the ultimate reality of this cup, and then when we see this cup, if we do not understand the ultimate reality, right? When I see this cup, your thought chase after this. Our thought chase after this. Oh, this is 50% attractive. Then our thought make it 50%. After a few months, I'm taking this only example. You can also do the other example. 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. Right. If we really understand the, if we really understand the true, the existence of the two realities on this cup, if you have a good understanding of the what is called as relative, relative truth. Relative truth. So much depends on how we view the cup, how we view the external world. If we have a good understanding of relative truth, it helps you to dismantle. It helps you to destroy the delusion. Right. So, understanding the relative truth and the ultimate truth, both are the main cause for destroying all the affliction, delusions. Right. Now, not only the watch, everything, right? Everything, for example, in the case of attachment towards the everything, or, we then kind of meditation on the, impermanent, the suffering nature, all these things. Whereas for the one's enemy, like these things, there's meditation being involved is love, compassion. Right. And then some have a lot of discursive thoughts. Discursive thoughts, their mind keep on working very active, very active, keep on restless mind. So for this, some people, they continue to think, do not rest. For this meditation of breathing is recommended. Right. Right. And then there is another kind of meditation, which is which can how to say, which can suppress delusion. We can separate most of the delusion of our desire, which can suppress or temporarily. Right. And then this kind of meditation also pretty powerful. Right. This is pretty powerful. This is related with Shamatha meditation. Right. Now for it. Once we have gained this meditation, then we are able to temporarily suppress. Right. Now, for example, this kind of meditation involves seeing the unattractiveness and the undesirable qualities of desire world, desire realm. Right. And then they try to see the desirable qualities of the form realm, form and formless realm, form realm. Right. For example, there is this cup, and there is another more very beautiful cup, nice, expensive cup, right? Cup. So my mind thinking, oh, as compared to this cup, as compared to another this cup is more not good, there's this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem, oh, a whole lot of problem, as compared to more nicer cup, And then when I see that cup, so there's a store, store, we sell two cups, the same, one is this and one is another more better one. So somebody came, oh, this cup has more good qualities, better qualities, nice one, this is, good, but not the same like this. Having said this, the person said this, what you want to buy is, I want to buy more this better, better one. Right. Because I see the more desirable qualities in the another cup. I see the problem in this cup. Right. Similarly, what happens is, when I think about the undesirable qualities of the desire realm, or we have in this desire world, there's a sickness, there's old age, there's there things are not uncertain, you have to go to work, and this problem, that problem, whole lot of problem. We meditate on this, right? And then we see the other more better qualities, nicer qualities in the form realm and formless realm. Very beautiful qualities. Because people have very long life. They don't, their food they do enjoy is something, much far, better or superior than the food, of this life. So they have very, very long life, And then the sound, all this, and then the blissful experience is much, much superior in this, form realm. So we do this kind of meditation because of, as I said, because of so habituated with this kind of meditation. So habituated with this kind of meditation that we finally are able to destroy the delusions of the desire realm temporarily. Right. And then, although you are temporarily able to destroy the delusion of the desire realm, but then you develop a delusion to the form realm. You have not able to. Right? You find the once we are born in the form realm, the bliss is more deeper, the more profound, the more superior. People have very long life. They don't sleep. But there's no boring. There's a full of, how to say, the joy, like these things. Again, what happened is, again, the form realm, So, in terms of mental peace, the beings in the form realm have much advanced mental peace than the beings of the desire realm, we in this world. So, the being in the form realm, again, they are so intoxicated. They are so intoxicated by the bliss and the pleasures of the, form realm, because many of the, blisses they derive through the kind of meditation. we call absorptive meditation, concentrative meditation. Their mind is so pacified. But then what happened? The same. Again, they, they enjoy the bliss for a certain period of time, a very long time, maybe very long time. Again, they are not satisfied. Right? Now they want to seek more, more profound blisses. So they try to, in order to, achieve the more profound bliss, they try to take birth in formless realm. They play, they meditate on the, kind of, they meditate on the meditative stages of the formless realm of concentration. Right. So what happens once you take this one, this, like, there's a kind of the object, the meditation object they use is like the space, No object is visualized, conceptualized, just space, like empty sky. So this object, so this gives tremendous amount of bliss. Later, again they, do this kind of meditation. Again, they are, not satisfied because they want more bliss. Then they meditate on their own mind. They meditate on only their mind, no other thing. Because if you try to conceptualize, it gives you more, sense of craving. Then later on, what they will do visualize is, what is called as meditation of, non-conceptualization. Because nothing is visualized, nothing is conceptualized. So this non-conceptualization meditation gives the second highest, blisses, the strength of blisses, far more superior than the blisses of the desire realm, pleasure experience of the desire realm. Right. I mean, the second highest, blisses of the samsara. Then when you're born in the peak, which is the highest summit of the, the samsara, at that time, the most profound, the most superior blisses of the desire realm. Again, the beings there, having enjoyed for us, certain period of time, for maybe eons and eons, maybe thousands of eons. Right? Again, they enjoy the blisses, so intoxicated by the blisses that they are not satisfied. They want to have, much more deeper bliss. Now, this is the only the greatest bliss available in samsara. This also they experienced. No, there is no bliss to be enjoyed. So again, right. So then what happens is, then when they karmic is exhausted, they either fall down to the hell or whatever it is. So this is how we call samsara, taking rebirth again and again. Taking rebirth again and again, right? So therefore we say, in samsara there's no real and true, authentic, joy, the bliss. Because what happens is, if you experience it, if you enjoy the bliss for a short period of time, we are not satisfied. The more we satisfied, the more craving we develop. The more craving we develop, we are not satisfied. We need more bliss. So all this, taking like this.
So police is not a real police.
Yeah. So therefore, now what we do is, in short, just this, the cessation quality, the complete total pacification, the cessation of all the delusion, of the ignorance, of the ignorance, of the delusion is the last, is the most reliable, is the most peaceful, is the totally freed from elaboration. This is the clear light. This is the profound. This is free from all the complexity. This is uncompounded. This is like nectar. So all these many qualities. This is the something that yeah, really meaningful. Just when we try to present, I used to tell this, for example, right, today we eat the, for example, at one point of time we eat a very more, we eat, delicious food, very good food, right? Or say we hear the very good music, right? I just take an example, right? Good music, very nice music, or good, enjoy very nice delicious food, right? So this is one experience. This is very pleasurable experience, right? On the one hand, for example, for example, I don't know if you have the those people who have, for example, like just take an example, like those people who have the hepatitis, pain, the pain caused by hepatitis, the liver problem, right? The pain is 100%, right? The pain is 100%. So painful, very so painful. So so what happens is when the person eat the medication, take the tablet or medication, the pain is reduced to 50%. This reduction of 50% pain, reduction or a sense of reliefness, and the one who enjoy the food, there's some pleasurable experience, which is more superior. Which is more superior? I feel the reduction of the reliefness of the pain 50% is more superior, far more superior. Far more superior. Very profound. This is very profound. So, right. So when we talk about the cessation of delusion, there's a kind of pacification, cessation quality. This cessation quality is far thousands and thousands of times much more than the reliefness of the pain of the 50%. Much more deeper, this, as it cannot, all the the pleasures of the samsara, cannot compare with this cessation quality of the, the lasting cessation quality of the delusion. This. What time?
We have 7 minutes.
7 minutes. I think if we will have question, or
I have a small request. Just now you mentioned a few different meditation techniques, meditation on impermanent, meditation on loving kindness, meditation on breathing,
Mm.
and also meditation on Argonalis in Samsara. In the future, could you please elaborate these meditations and give us teachings?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
刚才我有请求是，因为我刚才我们讲到说，他有谈到说，我们对付这些烦恼呢，可以用不一样的禅修的方法，比如说我们观修无常、观修慈悲心，然后呢不净观、慈心观，还有速习观等等。我说以后请他帮我们再详细的讲解一下怎么样子来做，以后有机会听。然后你们大家有没有问题？有问题的可以提出来。
对不对？
有人说话吗？No one. Okay. No one can question.
I see.
No one question.
I see. Then yeah, since 7 minutes, 5 minutes.
You actually have small request. If you can you lead us the chant?
Which one?
The 8 word, the root text. I think it has better from there. We can chant in Chinese.
Mm.
我刚才说请师傅帮我们带我们唱诵一下这个颂词的课文。
Okay. Just it. Done. Just wait. ठीक है. 남선 충분히시네. Just wait. Just wait. Okay, wait a second. Today. Do you have prayer?
Yeah.
Okay.
那师傅说带我们唱诵一下这个根本颂。 你们有的话可以把你的 line 给打开，英文版和中文版的字数是一样的啊，跟藏文版字数不一样，所以可以跟着唱诵看，好吧？喜欢用藏文的也可以用藏文。大家呢可以把他们的 line 给打开，我刚才有发送了，周星发送，如实打字翻译。
OK，当你圣洁堂洁拉一些那不来拉美，天见这边三八一大手金把金把手，康当苏达都为谁当一个来没带心。见了三把大把一说对结把金把手。这浪跟多然就拉多金也莫给马他，大心马中切别难，在那老年老把手，让先年别心结你，被动差不弄得在人间的大车把心，也把把为见自修。达拉仙界差多吉西古拉索米里贝，熊嘎让耶连巴当耶嘎仙拉贝瓦修，让拉达耶偏达巴热瓦切瓦康西吉，新都米里尼吉那，千年当巴呀达瓦修。多那我当有把耶，本地莫那根拉个，马耶那当多年根上外达拉连巴下，铁大军将去耶耶，多被地面马帮白。去云有马些白罗，些面青蛙。来追求，
可以自己做回向。
对他公开就是这么一句话的。OK， very good。
谢谢大家。
然后我们的课后讨论呢，就是会继续慢慢的继续。
Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Thank you.
我刚刚也我看到，哇，还有上。